Before the gods, before the titans, before even light itself, there was darkness. In the vast emptiness of chaos, where nothing had form, two shadowed forces stirred. Nyx, the very embodiment of night, drifted through the void, a silent veil that swallowed worlds before they existed. At her side was Erebus, the dark mist that lingered between realms, neither light nor land, but the shadowy in-between that shapes all things unseen. These were no mere deities of fear. They were ancient, eternal, and inscrutable, rulers of the horizons that had yet to dawn. And from their presence came the first whispers of creation itself. Born directly from the boundless chasm of chaos, Nyx and Erebus were siblings, and yet also mates, joined not by flesh, but by the very essence of the void. Their union was cosmic, a weaving of darkness and night that gave substance to what had no shape. Together, they defined the unseen layers of existence, the quiet forces that hover between reality and dream. They were not the sky that gleamed with stars, nor the sea that roared with waves. They were the silent spaces between, a realm that even the later gods would approach with caution. In their shadowy embrace, the tapestry of the universe began to take shape, woven from the threads of primeval gloom and cosmic hush. From the union of Nyx and Erebus sprang some of the most formidable forces in all of Greek myth, beings too powerful to roam Olympus or tread the earth. First came Hypnos, the gentle god of sleep, who draped weary mortals in dreams. Then Thanatos, the quiet guide of peaceful death, leading souls from the living world into the underworld. But the darkness did not end there. Out of the void emerged Moros, the very personification of doom, heralding inevitable fate. Nemesis, the unyielding bringer of retribution, tracked arrogance and cruel intent to deliver cosmic balance. Eris, the goddess of discord, delighted in sowing strife, her laughter echoing like a knife through hearts. And lurking on the fringes were the Keres, spectral vultures feasting on the bodies of warriors, each a reminder that not even the bravest of heroes could outrun their final hour. These were just a few of the shadowborn, each more fearsome than the last, all born from the depths of primordial night. Nyx's power was unrivaled. Even Zeus, the thunder-wielding king of the gods, dared not cross her path. When Hera once provoked his wrath, she fled to the arms of night herself. Zeus thundered across the sky, ready to strike. But when the darkness of Nyx enveloped him, he found himself powerless to challenge the primordial queen of shadows. She was draped in a cloak of starlight, her presence both serene and terrifying. The very air quivered at the edge of her veil, and even lightning dared not pierce her realm. In that moment, Zeus knelt before Nyx, humbling his pride to make way for her silent reign. Such was her dominion, divine, ominous, and unquestioned by any mortal or god. While Nyx ruled the blanket of night above, Erebus governed the gloom that lay between worlds, the shadowy corridor that every soul must pass. Imagine a twilight riverbank where mist coats the air and shapes form only when touched by a faint, dying light. Here in Erebus, the boundary between life and death blurred, and every whisper of consciousness drifted like a will-o'-the-wisp. The ancients believed that all souls, heroes and commoners alike, crossed through Erebus on their way to Hades. He was no distant god living on a mountaintop. He was the very essence of the liminal space, the hush that accompanies final breath. Traversing Erebus meant surrendering to the unknown, where mortal fears found form and dreams intertwined with the fate of every living being. Among Nyx's brood, two brothers, Hypnos and Thanatos, were the gentlest and the most inevitable. Hypnos, the god of sleep, moved through the world with feathered wings upon his temples. A single feather from his hand could lull even the most tormented mind into rest. From kings to beggars, mortals welcomed his touch as a gift, a peaceful reprieve from life's burdens. Thanatos, his twin, played a quieter role, the god of death. Unlike the merciless spirits who stalked battlefields, Thanatos came softly, guiding each soul with a solemn grace. His eyes shimmered with silver compassion as he led wanderers to the underworld, ensuring no heart lingered too long in agony. Though mortals feared his arrival, he was neither cruel nor vengeful. He was simply inevitable, the final rest that all living things must face. And together, these twins shaped the boundary between waking and sleeping, between life's sorrows and the mystery beyond. Not all of Nyx's children brought gentle relief. Some sowed discord like wildfire. Eris, the goddess of strife and discord, reveled in chaos. When she tossed the golden apple marked for the fairest into the midst of goddesses at a wedding feast, her mischief sparked the events that led to the Trojan War. Mortal armies clashed, kingdoms crumbled, and the world was forever changed, all because Eris delighted in the beauty of conflict. In contrast, Nemesis served as the divine arbiter of balance and retribution. Wherever hubris reared its head, pride that challenged the gods, Nemesis appeared to deliver justice. She wielded wings like a hawk, scales of consequence in one hand, and a sword to cut away arrogance in the other. Mortals trembled at her approach, for no crime went unseen. Yet her aim was never cruelty but cosmic order, ensuring that no being, mortal or immortal, escaped the price of their deeds. Among all the shadowborn, perhaps none inspired more dread than the Keres, winged spirits of brutal death. When armies clashed, these harbingers descended like vultures, hunger in their eyes. They sought out the fallen, their talons dripping crimson as they tore at the bodies of warriors. Unlike Hypnos and Thanatos, who offered gentle release, the Keres thrived on agony. Their laughter mingled with screams on the battlefield, and their presence was a curse upon any soldier whose fate was to fall in combat. Even Ares, the god of war, recoiled at the sight of these feral specters. To him, the Keres embodied a savage chaos beyond glory, proof that death need not be swift or merciful. When you see arrows darken the sky or hear the dying wail of a warrior, know that the Keres circle ever near, thirsting for more. Though many of her children roamed the heavens and the underworld, Nyx herself never mounted Olympus's peak. She had no temples built in her honor, no grand statues carved of marble. Instead, she remained in her domain, the unending veil of night that wraps the earth in darkness each evening. Her influence was subtle yet profound. She guided dreams, shaped destinies, and whispered prophecies in the silent hours. She ruled the hours of sleep and the moments before dawn, touching every living soul in its most vulnerable state. From her, the world learned that some powers do not demand fanfare. They simply are. The deep hush before creation and the eternal hush after all things pass. In that sense, Nyx was perhaps the most influential mother of all. Her children shaped wars, hearts, and souls, but her very presence shaped reality itself. Poets like Hesiod honored Nyx and Arabus as the ultimate ancestors of fate, the primal forces from which all things sprang. Though temples rose for Zeus and poems praised Athena's wisdom, it was Nyx and Erebus who shaped the unseen gears of the cosmos. Threads woven into every prophecy, every dream, every act of revenge. Vase painters depicted Nyx's shadow curled around young Apollo, and oracles whispered her name when seeking guidance in darkness. Erebus's mist was invoked to explain nightmares and the afterlife's uncertainty. Even as gods like Zeus claimed dominion over thunder and justice, they never fully conquered the power of night and shadow. To the ancients, acknowledging Nyx and Erebus was to acknowledge the primal fears and wonders that lie just beyond waking life, a legacy that endures in every telling of Greek myth. From chaos came darkness, and from darkness came order. Nyx and Erebus served as the bridge between the formless void and the structured cosmos that followed. Their union taught the world that even in the deepest night, purpose stirs, that from the absence of light, patterns emerge and destiny finds its path. As the first shadows receded with each dawn, they revealed a universe brimming with life, gods and heroes. But the memory of night and shadow never vanished. It remained etched in the hearts of mortals who saw in the darkest hour both fear and hope, the knowledge that new beginnings always follow an ending. In Greek philosophy and poetry that came after, this lesson endured. Chaos is not the enemy of order, but its very seed. When you look up at the night sky, you see Nyx, an eternal reminder of all that is unseen. When you fear the unknown, you feel Erebus, an echo of the shadowed corridors between worlds. And when you dream, you drift through the legacy of their children, sleep, death, discord, and fate itself. In our next episode, we witness the Earth awaken. Gaia, the sentient body of the world itself, rises from the void, and with her, the foundations of nature begin to form.